I'm going to call the Loudon County Commission meeting to order for Monday, November 1st, 2021. First on the agenda is Jim Jenkins. Step to the podium and tell us about the resolution.
This resolution amends the Loudon County zoning resolution, Article 7, Administration and Enforcement, Section 7.090, amendment to the resolution.
Speaking of enforcement, and I know this is not the workshop, but in light of recent news that's come across the phone today, does the Planning and Zoning Commission have any authority or enforcement rules like for Mr. Hyde's meat processing plant that is not in compliance, that is not zoned for that? Is there anything that we can actually do?
Not at this time. As far as I know, he is operating under the ag exemption for the state, which says he can raise his own product, process, and sell his own products from his property.
Even though he's got it set, even though the disposal, the septic tanks, which should not be there, he should be hooked up to the sewer line and so forth.
That would be the state to enforce.
Okay, and we've yet to issue any kind of zoning approval?
We cannot enforce zoning or building codes on the ag exempt building.
Well, daggone it.
That's the state.
But once he starts processing other people's animals, though,
Then he would be out of compliance.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jim will vote on it under item 7A in just a few minutes.
Just took my teeth out.
Nobody signed up for public comments on the zoning resolution, so I've asked Commissioner Mears to open the meeting with a pledge and a prayer.
Wing and a prayer.
Would everyone turn to the flag and pledge allegiance to our country's flag? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our most kind, gracious Heavenly Father, we pray tonight that you would bring wisdom to each of the commissioners that will help benefit the citizens of Loudon County. Dear God, we also pray that our nation will come back the way that this country was formed. Under God we trust. We pray that, dear God, you would watch over our military, our first responders, all of these that are so important for our public. These things we pray in thy heavenly name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Tammy, call the roll.
Brewster. Present. Mears.
Here.
Hurley. Here. Tinker. Satterfield.
Here.
Whitfield.
Here.
Cohen.
Here.
Duff.
Here.
Shaver.
Here.
Waller.
present.
Okay. Next up is the adoption of the agenda for this meeting, November 1st. And I've been requested to pull items 8, which is the open meetings electronic voting, and item number 11, which is the funds for record storage building drawings. Both of those, one may come back, that's the voting system at the workshop, but certainly the storage will be on the agenda for the workshop. So those items are pulled. Buddy had to be somewhere tonight, so he's not here tonight. So, other than that, can I get a vote on?
Make a motion, we adopt the agenda as it's been altered there, Mr. Chairman.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have provided each of the commissioners with a report from September on the 911 calls, and this is very important, I think, to try to keep you up with the information provided on the number of calls.
So this is just for the month of September?
Yes.
Thank you.
So just FYI, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize for not being here for the workshop. I was very sick with a cold, but I would like to get a little update because I had asked on the agenda about the records, and I see Ms. Hunter's here about where we are or what was said at the workshop about the records.
Basically, what came out is we have to do something because when the courthouse is back open, we have to store that.
Yes,
So it
exactly.
became a big discussion of some at the library, some at the county building. They were gonna work on that and come back with an estimate as to what it would cost to draw up plans to do this. Apparently, it's not quite done. Jay Henderlight's not here tonight, so it'll be on the agenda for the workshop.
Plus,
But-
we're having problems with, some of our elected officials not doing their inventory on those boxes so that they could be treated for storage.
So what was the conclusion on that? Because one of those elected officials spoke with me today and told me that they said that they've gone through all they're gonna go through. They don't need to go through anything else, and the Records Commission could do whatever they wanna do.
Well, I wasn't
I'll be
privy to
glad
that
to speak about it.
conversation.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I'll wait for public comment.
Oh,
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Whitfield. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is the reading and acceptance of the October 4th, 2021 Loudon County Commission minutes. Has everybody read them?
Make a motion to approve minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Satterfield. Any further discussion or any changes? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
since I was not here for that meeting, please abstain from that vote.
You're gonna abstain?
Yes.
Okay. All right. General public comments. First up is Sarah Thomason.
Well, hello again.
Hey.
I'm Sarah Thomason, and I'm the chair of the Loudon County Library Board of Trustees. You may remember, I was here at last month's meeting. So I wanted to come again to thank you again, in particular this time for the vote that you made at the October meeting in regard to the $16 hourly, the raise to $16 an hour. That directly impacted 3 of our 5 library directors, and it has been a true blessing. So double thanks to you all. I'd like to urge you now, as you consider your next steps toward salary equity and fairness and that sort of thing, that you would keep in mind our 2 remaining library directors. Their salary continues to be just under, just a little bit over the $16, despite the seniority that they have, despite their experience that they have, and despite their educational achievements. So I just wanted to put that on your radar. And along with that, the hourly pay for the library staff is really low, and I hope at some point, I know can't do everything all at once, but I'd like you to keep that in mind. And perhaps most important, I just want to put a little bug in your ear, bring to your attention that the urgent need exists at the present time for additional staffing hours at the library. Not additional employees, but just more hours for them to work. So having said that, I want to share with you once again some success stories from the library. And last time when I was here, I gave you some examples that I would consider mostly to be technical help with computers for specific individual needs. Tonight, this time, they're just a little bit different from that, but I do want to share them with you. So the first of 3. We helped a patron find a series that she read 30 years ago and loved. She couldn't remember the titles and she couldn't remember the author. So we researched based on her clues, and when we gave her the information, she told us that what we had done was precious to her and that she would never forget it. I love these human interest stories. Second one, We sent home a new children's unicorn book with a grandparent. The grandparent came back in to tell us that we had made his granddaughter's day. She went to, sorry, I get tickled when I think of this. She went to school and told everybody there that the library sends her books. I wish I knew her age, but I don't. And then the third one, and the last one, we collected a selection of books for 2 patrons who are homebound. These patrons have someone pick up the books on a regular basis. There is no waiting. The patron's assistant can walk in, do a quick exchange of the reading materials, and be on their way to the other errands that they need to be doing. Wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall to see the faces of those homebound patrons when they get that new stack of books in and just ready to jump on them and look through to see what treasures they've got? All right, so one thing for sure that I want to share with you before I sit down is that all the success stories, I gave you 4 last month, I gave you 3 tonight, all of them took place within 1 week's time. So I want to thank you for allowing me to be here and to help spread the word about the importance and value of our libraries. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Hey, Pat Hunter.
My name is Pat Hunter, and Ms. Blair answered my question about the budget amendment that will be forthcoming with regards to the 2 votes from last month, and that was the $16 per hour and also the official. So that'll be coming in a budget amendment next month, and I told her I'd be glad to see it. The other concern that I have has to do with an item on the agenda under number 9, Economic Development Director Jack Paul's Economic Impact Study. I read the request for qualifications, and I guess my question is, what's the term for, it references smart growth, because it says outcomes from the study should include short and long-term recommendations that directly and indirectly promote smart growth within the county, enhancing the quality of life for its citizens and enriching the future marketability of the community. So that's one question that I have. And then how, if anything, will this impact this study? Will it have anything to do with the rezoning committee that's meeting and taking public input? Will it have any bearing, or how will that play out, or do you have any idea?
No idea.
Okay.
No idea.
Okay, so that's my question about that. With regards to the Public Records Commission, I think what I tried to convey to the county commission was the Public Records Commission oversees the records, the overall, well, we're supposed to oversee the records completely, but we're also in charge of the destruction of the records. So our first goal is to preserve the records. The second is to also oversee any destruction of the records. What I have learned over a period of years, 2 years since the fire, the Public Records Commission inherited the records that are in the basement. And by saying we inherited, the county tried to get the officials to inventory the records, and they were unsuccessful, so they said, we need your help. And we volunteered to do that. Last week, Mr. Harrelson, with 2 of his chief deputies, went and inventoried the records. They got it done in a matter of 5 or 6 hours. So 2 clerks and Mr. Harrelson inventoried the records. They put the ones that are going to be destroyed in one area, the ones to be cleaned in another area. The ones that still remain to be inventoried are the trustees. Now the Chancery has started hers, and she said she will start back in January. by large, those are the two biggest groups of records that are left. I asked county commission for guidance. You know, we don't have a budget. I think we have a small budget of $1,000, but it's, as I said before, really the records that are being maintained by each department, by each office, they are the best entity, group of people to inventory the records because they create the records, they manage the records, they are familiar with the records. We could ask commission if we could hire some people, but it's gonna be labor intensive because they're not familiar with the records. So that's where we're at. We have some records that are ready to go. The purchasing director said that she is working on getting those sent. The ones that have heavy mold, I have suggested to everyone that they not open those boxes because those need to be handled by professionals. No one should have access to them. Unfortunately, we had a couple of people that got into some of those records, and now they're hither and yon, but, you know, they shouldn't be out of the boxes. We inherited them, they were not marked, mold. So, you know, when we open a box, it's at our hazard, and it shouldn't be. For the most of it, the boxes have been, all the records have been freeze-dried, so they're safe, we've been told they're safe to handle if we use certain precautions. We have to use gloves, we have to use N95s, we have to use goggles, we have the safety equipment in order to use them. And the ones that need to be inventoried are just papers. It's pretty simple, but it seems to be monumental with some of the office holders.
Well, Mr. Miller told me that, he had done everything that he needed to do, and what was left, the Records Commission could go ahead and destroy it.
Well, we can't do that unless we look through the retention schedule that by law we have to follow. If it says that they're supposed to be retained for 5 years, they have to retain them for 5 years. 7 years, some records that are there are permanent records. We can't ever destroy them. There's some records there that are confidential. Only the records custodian from each department should be looking at those records. We cannot have people looking at confidential records. I mean, that's all there is to it. Now, I know he doesn't want to do it, but unless...
Has he looked at any records?
Pardon?
Has he been there to look at any records?
He was there one day. I was actually able to get all the department heads there so we could segregate the records. So we could put Chancery here, General Sessions there, you know, each grouping. He was there for that. And his grouping, he said he has a group, apparently he must have looked at in the boxes because he said he can inventory those, but he doesn't seem to want to. Now, there are others that the bulk of them are trustee records, and these are not the moldy books. These are records that he needs to open the box and inventory them. Now, it doesn't have to be labor intensive. If there's a box of deposit slips, put a banker's box of deposit slips and look at the age to see if it is past that date. And if it is, we're either gonna clean them or we're gonna destroy them. But our process is that we have to ensure that that schedule is adhered to because it's state law.
So at this point, if you all have to adhere to that and he's not doing anything, does that not mean that you all need to go ahead and do it?
I think we just put him in his office.
Well, I asked commission for their guidance. Do they want us, we have a budget of $1,000. So county commission has to decide a couple of things. Do we want to clean all the records, even though we may end up destroying half of them, or most of them, or some of them? Have the insurance pay for that? We've already spent, and I'm talking about the insurance, $233,000 just to clean records for Chancery and Circuit.
Are those, both of those completely finished?
The ones that are at the Loudon building. The ones, see, there were two groups of records.
Yeah.
One that was actually located on the floor of the courthouse, which were, I'm gonna call them their active files. Those were sent to Houston. They were cleaned, and what they weren't using at their current facility, some were put into the inactive file. Those are housed in Loudon.
Gotcha.
Now, the ones in Lenore City, that is roughly 1,170 boxes, okay? A lot of boxes.
How long does it take to go through a box?
Not long. I mean, Mr. Harrelson and two clerks did it in 5 or 6 hours.
How many boxes though? I mean,
They
How
probably
many
had a
boxes?
lot, they
I-
probably had a majority of the boxes.
They had a good.
so like
I
6
didn't
hours
count
for
them.
1,000 boxes?
I would say,
Are we looking
a
at
wall probably maybe, 6 or 8 feet wide, maybe, 5 feet tall.
How many boxes still have to be gone through?
The bulk of them are trustee boxes.
How,
Okay, so we're right in the
quantity,
middle of
number?
tax collection
Quantity,
season.
no, I couldn't give you
You can't
quantity,
do
I haven't counted them.
You can't do it
I can tell you
unless we want to
that,
just hire some new people.
Nobody can't do it but the office holder.
That's right.
I can't go in, Pat can't do it. And Kelly mentioned on the front end the same thing that Chip said to me. Chip said, I've gone through it and I picked out what I've got to keep. The rest of it, they can throw away. Now,
Yeah, that's what he told me.
and that's what I'm hearing Pat say, but we can't just throw away. Somebody has
You
to.
can't make that determination unless you open the box, look at the records, look at the retention schedule, and see what the retention schedule
From
says.
what he is saying to Mr. Shaver and myself, is he's done that.
He couldn't, he did not do that in my presence, and that's the only time that I've seen him.
Well,
Sorry.
is that our judgment call to make though? If the office holder is the one that says, I've done it, then,
Well, it hasn't been done if it's not on an inventory sheet and it doesn't specify that they actually looked at the documents to check it against the retention schedule. I mean, that's a state retention schedule.
Why don't we get a letter from Chip, signed, saying he went through all of his documents and we're done?
We cannot destroy records unless we know, Mr. Waller.
I'm saying, if he sends me a letter saying
I
he
know,
went through all
but
of
the
his
next
records.
stop is
I
at the
don't-
Public Records Commission, and we have to have an inventory of those records before we authorize the destruction. Then they still have to go to the state, and they have to approve the destruction of the records. And if they want, they can come back and check the records to see if.
so we
if
have
we're
to
being
send all those
acted.
records that need to be destroyed to the state?
Have to get their permission,
We have to get.
tell them what it is,
Authorization.
and they have to
So you're
approve it.
saying there should be an inventory list of everything that's in those boxes, regardless whether it's 1 year old or 5 years old?
Right, and it's like I explained to them, if there's a box of deposit slips, they don't have to go through every deposit slip, just, give us a date range. If it's on that list of records to be destroyed, put a box of deposit slips, put the date range. I'm not asking to count every last one, but we have to have a way of, verification that the records we are about to destroy are not records that we should be keeping.
Is Trustee Miller the only elected official that hasn't given you what you need?
Campbell's office?
Campbell finished. The county clerk, Ms. McKelvey, did it twice, because her
Good job,
records,
Cameron.
her boxes were moved, and she had to do it twice, so my hat's off to her.
You said Lisa still has some from Chantry yet to go back in January.
She started some, and she said she'll start in January. Soil conservation is finished, their records are ready to go. And it's really unfair because
So who's left?
So who's left?
That's what we're at.
trustee, chancellor.
Gotcha.
So then why don't you send all the
Lisa
trustees
and
to get
Chip.
cleaned and then
Now,
put them in his office?
We could get them all cleaned, and then bring
Well, I
them.
mean, if we're giving Lisa an extra opportunity to not wait until, no, we're not like pressuring her right now to finish it by the end of the year. So if we're giving her until January to start back, then we can give Chip the same time limit.
Well, and
Well, we
We're
got your
flexible.
chancellor too,
That's
I
all right,
mean.
too, yeah.
we're
And that's what she's up
flexible.
here asking for is guidance. So I mean,
I mean-
if we're saying that 2 elected officials aren't finished, so, you know,
We just
when would be
need-
a good time for you to have this finished?
Yeah, well, we still have to send, it has to go before the Public Records Commission, and then we have to send it to the state.
Right, when would you be comfortable saying, okay, Lisa, okay, Chip, get this done by blank date, they really need to get this done?
Well, I'd like for them to start now, because we still have the extra step of having to send it to the state. But then when we get authorization to destroy the records,
I hear you. It sounds to me like Lisa's not gonna do it until January,
So here's what we do. Everything that's done, we send to the state.
Yeah.
And then Lisa and Chip have till January 31st to be done, and then we're done.
Or February.
And the wall we're up against, folks, is we gotta be done by the time the courthouse is finished. So you could have 5 years.
Yeah, we got a decade left.
Well, and that's the thing.
Start saying,
Yeah, but then they'll have more records to go through too, you know?
That's on them though, cause it's in their office.
how long have those boxes been sitting there? How long have they had to go look at them?
Since the fire.
Well, it's-
April 2019.
Since the fire, but you have to take into account that we have records that are over 100 years old that were sitting in the basement. And records management back then was putting it in a box and forgetting about it. We're under state law and rules that we have to preserve the records that are absolutely required to be preserved indefinitely. And we also have the authority to authorize the destruction of records that do not
I
have.
was just trying to make the point that they've been there in the boxes
For how long?
for plenty of time, more than enough time for those folks who have done what needed to be
Well,
done.
soil conservation finished theirs pretty quickly. That was their,
Well, to help it along and make everybody a little on the same page, I'll make a motion for the county commission and the mayor's office to draft a letter encouraging these 2 elected officials to have their boxes completed by no later than February 28th of 2022.
And it's not just as like Pat said,
We can't make them, but
You
we can
can't-
encourage it.
they can't send to the state. The trustee said that he didn't need to end the rest of them. She's gotta have an inventory
we
list.
have to have a
And
document.
I'll second her motion.
Well, if it's not done by the 28th, we clean them all and put them in Chip's office.
Well,
Or Lisa.
the other option is
Yeah.
to clean
Yeah.
the records, all of the records, even the ones that are going to be destroyed.
Well, there's a motion and a second on the floor, so
Now we can discuss.
now we can discuss.
Anyway, we can have the records cleaned, but then there's also the question.
Well, there's no need of having records cleaned that
It's going in the
they don't
dumpster.
need to be going in.
Well, that was my
Guys,
whole
we spent
point,
15
but
minutes on
the
this.
ones that are clean, we still have to have a place to take them. And the insurance, or at least it's my understanding, that if we clean the records, especially the old archive records, they want a climate control facility, a secure facility.
Who wants a
for
climate control for secure
the
facility?
insurance.
The insurance wants a climate.
Well, we have one, and we have this one up here until the construction's done over here.
What are you talking
We
about?
have storage for our records up here until the courthouse is rebuilt.
Are you talking about the Lenore City?
Or Loudon, either one.
Well, I'm not sure if that's what you would consider climate control.
What are you talking
But
about?
they have specified, the
We
insurance
have
has
records and storage
specified
and climate control up here.
how
She's
the
saying we need
records should be
space for them.
maintained.
We already have it in Lenore City, we have it in
Well,
Loudon.
I think we have to discuss historic records, and I think we've had a few discussions. There's been some comments made of, we've got to try to figure out how many historic records, so then we can go to the engineering firm to say, we need this many square foot, this much square foot.
For
to
the
go on
library, yeah.
our library here or there, so I think based on the information we received back from you guys, that gives us an inkling how many square feet we think we need, then I think we could move forward with
Right,
the
and
next
I
process.
sent pictures comparable of what Rome County has with the big trustee books.
Right.
And we have books that go back to the 1880s where they're handwritten,
Right.
people paid the dues. So, you know, those take up a lot of space. I think Ms. Longberg can attest to that, the minute books, they're comparable to that.
Right.
So we're talking about records like that, and then we have records that are simply in folders that are,
Chairman,
you know, handwritten, so.
motion and a second on the floor.
Hold on.
So
Get there.
we're talking about a lot of records that will have to be stored somewhere.
Okay, the issue at hand right now is two individuals that haven't done what they have to do.
If we can encourage. them in
Commissioner
any way,
Hurley
shape,
made a
or form,
motion to send them a letter to get it done. It was seconded by Commissioner Brewster.
Yes.
Thank you.
By February, did you
28th,
get it?
February
Did you get
28th.
that, Tammy?
Do you have that?
Julie made a motion for, commission to encourage the records be taken care of by February 28th, 2022. Draft a
To
letter.
draft a letter.
You think it's slow now, wait till I get that letter. It'll be real slow, then.
Well,
Okay, there's a
Well, I
motion
mean-
and a
I
second.
mean, we've got so many, we've got to move forward on it.
yeah, this is time to get done.
Any further discussion?
And that's just going to those two individuals, correct? It would be
If Pat says those are the only
Trustee.
two elected officials that haven't got it
trustee
done,
and, okay.
Okay,
Chancery and trustee.
trustee and chancery.
Chancery's actually appointed.
Okay.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's not even elected.
can't do much.
I heard-
Anyway,
I heard planning and zoning was really lax on theirs.
Jim just wants to go home if we never get to his part of the agenda.
Number 7.
okay, we got a motion and a second.
Whoops.
Call the roll, Tammy. Yes is to send them a letter, no is not to send them a letter.
Mears,
Yes.
Hurley,
yes.
Tinker, Satterfield,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Shaver,
I believe I'll just throw a pass in on this one.
Waller,
Aye.
Brewster. Yes. So what was your vote?
He didn't vote.
He put a
It's the second
pass.
time in 2 months he's not voted on something.
Why, do you have a problem with Helen?
Did you pass, Stan?
Just, yes, that was a pass on my
Okay, that's-
part, yes, that's,
So how many we got votes? We got 8 out of 2? We got 8 out of 10?
yeah, I like 8 out of 2 better.
Yeah. 2 not here. Anyway, the motion carries. To good a letter. All right, Jim Jenkins, step to the podium and tell us about this resolution. You want him to reread it, or you want to give him?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve Jim Jenkins' recommendation from the planning commission.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Waller to approve the zoning. Any further discussion?
That's going from 30 to 10.
Yes, sir.
But the
Okay,
signs still go out when it gets in.
We'll
And
put
they're
signs out
starting-
10 business days prior to our meeting, and we'll leave them up until county commission.
They're starting their new meeting date this month. They'll meet the second Tuesday of November will be the first time they're on their new date.
okay.
But I had to move quickly.
We appreciate you too.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you, so.
Okay. Yes is to approve it, no is to not approve it. Call the roll.
Hurley,
Yes.
Tinker, Satterfield,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Brewster. Yes. Mears.
Who don't you?
I almost said pass.
Jim, you're clear to go.
You're messing with my minutes.
See you
Okay.
again.
Jack Quall, step to the podium. Tell us about the economic impact study.
Is it impactful?
It's impactful. Thank you for having me this evening. EDA is going through the process of hiring a consultant firm through a 3-star grant program to look at doing a countywide economic impact study. It'll be a strategic plan that will look at different factors. I think you have those listed in front of you, everything from demographics to density. Land use is also one, looking at education, workforce. It's kind of taking the gamut across the board for economic impacts for our area, and we'll also look at some of the cities as well. So,
And you'll come back with the study when it's done?
Who'd you say the grant's from?
it's a statewide grant, it's a 3-star grant.
EDA, state EDA?
And does this break it down by district or by the county versus cities, or how is this, is it all just one
It'll look at, it depends on how we structure the analysis. So we'll be hiring a consultant firm to come in and give us guidance on what that should look like. There will be a series of stakeholder meetings throughout the county, that will be, interviewing different departments and different folks to get information. It's really a data-driven approach. Hopefully it will give us some data to make better decisions for everything from, growth. I know our urban growth boundary is, the plan's 20 years old. Probably, I don't wanna speculate what the plans, what these recommendations are gonna be, the consultant firm is gonna hire us, or we're hiring to do, but, I'm sure there'll be some recommendations that come out of that, short and long range.
Any timeline, Jack?
It's getting ready to be the holiday season. We've got the art request for qualification is on the street right now. We'll probably make an announcement December 1st. Getting, like I said, getting ready to get in the holidays. I'm thinking 6 months, maybe 5 months turn and be completely done. Depending on the timeline, once we get the consultant on board, we can better define that. I can give you a better answer.
Mr. Chairman, I would put this in form of a motion, and the thing in talking with Mr. Qualls in length several times, we have a third-party individual coming in, and this will give a lot of information to the general public, to the commission. And one important thing, the Board of Education just came back with a plan for possibly a building program in the future. So hopefully this may give us some input once this report is done. But I put this in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
To,
What's the
what's your
for?
motion?
That we proceed and use the information that his office is going to be, it's a $50,000 grant, and that we try to utilize the information that we're going to be receiving from the grant, or from the study.
I don't think we should commit to using data we haven't seen yet.
Motion to accept the grant.
Oh,
No, we don't have to have any motion
I
to
know,
accept the
No,
grant.
he's
that's
got
what he's
that.
getting at. That's what he's getting at.
You don't need nothing from us.
No,
do you?
I absolutely
He's just
not. This is
informing
just informative.
You're gonna
I'm
do
here- I'm doing it, guys. I'm here, obviously, we're gonna have some information that comes out of this. I mean, there is some land use decisions. I think you have a committee that is, my understanding, looking at some density and things such as that. Hopefully, this will have some information that's useful for that committee, and you can utilize the rest of this information for decision-making processes in the future.
So you're gonna come back to us with stuff that you need from us, is that?
It'll come back with recommendations that, depending on, it'll be like a SWOT analysis, looking at strengths and weaknesses, different policies, procedures, such as density, land use. Like I said, I know, for example, the urban growth boundary is over 20 years old. Basically, areas that need to grow, that already have infrastructure, if a person wanted those areas to grow now, they would not be able to do so since they're outside of the urban growth boundaries. So now, I assume it's gonna come up with some solutions such as recommendations such as that.
Okay.
The way I understand it then is they're gonna do this study and you're gonna come back to us with it.
Or there's also a part of this will have a marketing purpose to tell the story and tell everything that is encompassed in the state. And it's a long laundry list you have in front of you. It's like everything. We do have a set budget. There may be some things that have to be scaled back during this process. We don't know what those numbers look like yet, so as this goes through, it may change a little bit. This is
And
certainly,
are we considered stakeholders when they talk to us?
yes.
I withdraw my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got a withdrawal.
Yes, sir.
You withdraw your second, Kelly?
Sure.
Okay.
Proceed, and thank you, Mr. Qualls.
Jack, good luck.
Thank you.
See how it comes out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Jack, have a good evening. Susan Harrison, come up here and tell us about this redistricting that we approved on
Good evening.
9/30. What's that?
You're the chairman.
I'm the chairman. We voted on September 30th for Plan C. Susan's coming with the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, tonight is the first time any of us have gotten to see the map.
Big man.
The big map that you could actually see the lines. All we've looked at through bits and pieces. So what we're about to vote on is that map.
That map.
So if everybody hasn't had a chance to make sure their district lines are where they felt they were when we did our last redistricting committee meeting, you might want to double check just to be sure.
No, neither of us
And
are happy with that.
Susan, I'm gonna wait to get a motion in a second, and then I'm going to amend
We
it
had zero.
to add that one little piece on.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I'd like to offer an amendment. There's one tiny little bitty piece of land that should have been in the second district. There's no homes in it. It's all commercial. It goes from Odessa Boulevard up to, the interstate. It's a total nothing, but if you need them to see, you can show them where it's at.
They would bring that on up to the interstate on Odessa.
Okay, so it's that one piece in District Two?
This
Yes,
yellow
it's-
bit, that way it would take.
Again, there's no residences in it. It's all in Little City and it's all commercial.
All you're
I
doing
mean,
is
like I was
putting
trying to
land
do
there.
last night,
That's
but
right.
everybody said not to do that,
Okay.
like, we don't make lines. I remember the argument, I don't care, that's fine.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
You have an amendment. I've offered an amendment to add that little piece on it.
Second that amendment.
Okay, second on the amendment. Any discussion on that? Has everybody looked at it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Ms. Harrison if it might be possible to receive a map of this.
It's bigger than what we got.
You sure can't see that little
Or is there a
bitty one.
PDF, high-resolution PDF you can email us?
What, this one?
Like that right
Yeah,
there, that's
so-
what I got.
Something
Can you email that
Something
in
big.
PDF for me?
Not this big, I think Ryan or Jim would have to.
I'll bet they could, cause they
Yeah,
send
they
us the
can
little
do it.
ones, the
They
little
can do it.
pieces, but I'll bet now that it's done, they could send us the big one where you can open it up and scroll around and zoom in and zoom out and stuff.
They could probably send us each district.
Yeah,
That gives us everything.
but I probably would say too, I might withhold off, especially if your district was affected, because we will have to move some precinct lines within the county. So if you're gonna go to saying this is this, of course, it's still your district, but there'll be some precinct lines in the fifth and the first that's moving, for sure, and the fourth.
I thought you decided the fifth was gonna be all right.
No, way too many people.
And the brown one,
But we think we worked out the first.
Yeah, but I mean, when we talk about, they have approved us to use the Choda Rec Center for the first district and move Loudon Mountain Sign out there. And we're probably gonna rename it Choda, where we won't have so many L precincts in the county. And we're gonna have to get with some of those people out there and say, do you want to go to Choda or do you wanna come to Loudon outside Choda? Where do you wanna be?
Okay,
So that
state
they'll
your
be
motion
able to-
again, Mr. Shaver.
my amendment is
Can you vote
to
no
include the
more?
little section at Odessa Boulevard up to Interstate 75.
And we got a
Susan knows exactly what the dimensions are.
And we got a second from Commissioner Waller?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, yes is to accept the amendment and the redistricting, and no is to deny it
And that was to accept the redistricting plan C
with the amendment.
with the amendment, okay.
So we're just gonna have one vote? We don't have, I think we have to vote on the amendment.
Gotta have two.
We gotta vote on the amendment
Yeah,
Okay,
we
to
don't
make
have
it
to.
legit.
All right, first one's gonna be for
Plan C.
redistricting.
No,
No,
first one's amendment.
Well, you got to vote for the resolution at some point.
We're
That's
gonna get to it
good.
second. We need to vote on the amendment and then vote on the original resolution.
okay. All right,
I thought you voted on the original resolution first.
You gotta vote the amendment
you gotta-
first.
you gotta vote the
Then vote
amendment.
on the
That's
fifth.
right, we fixed the resolution, then vote the amendment, then vote on the resolution.
Okay, on the amendment is to move that one piece to District 2, right?
Correct,
Okay, yes is to do it, no is to deny it.
correct,
Okay, call the roll.
And this is the amendment part,
correct.
Yep,
okay. Satterfield,
Aye, yes.
Field,
Yes.
Cullen,
yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes,
Waller,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley.
Yes.
Okay, the amendment passed. Now we gotta vote on the plan that was approved on 9/30, which is the resolution. Which was what, Plan C, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'll take a motion and a
I
second.
make a motion, we approve.
we've already got the
Got it.
motion in a second.
Okay,
He just asked for
I
it.
know that. We can do it again.
That
okay.
was by Waller.
You sure?
Whitfield.
Who made the motion?
Waller, Whitfield.
How dare you do that right in front of me? You're not
There
even-
you go.
do that?
Okay.
Oh, pretty slick about that.
Yes is to approve the resolution, no is to deny it.
As amended.
As amended. Any further discussion? Call the roll, Tammy.
Satterfield,
Aye.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Waller,
Aye.
Brewster,
Yes.
Mears,
Yes.
Hurley. No.
Okay. Passes what?
8-1.
8-1.
8-1-1.
Thinker's not here.
Nancy on school.
There you go.
Susan, thanks for all your work.
Thanks for all your work.
Susan, do we need to,
What's that?
we need to add
the
him to
resolution
send
presented
us?
tonight.
Yes, you gotta redo it.
Just come from Ryan, but Jim probably did the same thing.
Susan, can you get me a new resolution with that verbiage in it?
Amendment in it.
That's fine. Okay, I just made a note, so that I can get the right one signed.
Okay.
I
Thank you,
think this
Susan.
resolution, the resolution we have before us just simply says adopting the map.
Okay,
So that's gonna be the
Okay.
map, we just adopted it, she has the change made for it. Yeah.
okay, so if, you can call me tomorrow and we'll discuss if we need something.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you.
Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Save me a piece of
Thank you,
cornbread.
Susan. Thank you, Susan.
Tracy Blair, you're up.
Thank you, sir. The first item is consideration of recommendation to approve acceptance of an amendment to increase the DGA grant by $3,600. This is the grant that provides reimbursement of wages and benefits for health department employees. There are no matching funds, and the budget committee recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion to approve it, seconded by Commissioner Waller. Any further discussion? Some money involved, roll call vote.
Whitfield,
Aye.
Cullen,
Yes.
Jeff,
Aye.
Shaver,
Aye.
Waller,
Aye.
Brewster,
Yes.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley. Yes. Satterfield.
Yes.
Okay.
Item B is consideration of.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. I love it.
We did all this workshop, been to the budget committee, so.
Okay, who made the motion?
I felt like I was watching Gunsmoke
Waller.
there for me.
Okay.
Quick on the draw.
All right. The second item is the 5,000 grant from the Tennessee Commission on Aging and Disability, which one day will include me. Yes is to approve it, no is to deny it. Money involved, call the roll.
Cullen,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yep.
Waller,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley.
Yes.
Satterfield,
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Okay.
Next is recommendation to approve amendments in all of those funds. The only thing that I would point out that in Fund 171, item 8A about the electronic voting was pulled from the agenda. So your approval will not include that, but in 171.
Make a motion to approve them all.
Okay, we got a motion to
I'll
approve them
second.
all. Do I have a second?
I
we did.
second.
Commissioner Brewster. Any further discussion? Money involved, roll call vote.
Jeff,
Aye.
Shaver,
Aye.
Waller,
Aye.
Brewster,
Because I am Aye.
Mears,
Aye.
Hurley. Yes. Satterfield,
Sorry, Tammy.
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Cullen.
Yes. Motion
With my brother,
carries.
Kelly.
Prior to the
I
meeting,
thought you
summary
missed it.
financial statements for the month of October, as well as minutes of the September 20th budget committee meeting were distributed, requesting the records recollect that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
Motion to adjourn.
David
Second.
Mears.
You ready, A-Team?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Draw your motion.
Mr. Chairman,
withdraw my
we
motion.
have a
Withdraw my
motion
second.
on the floor to present 13 names for notary approval tonight.
Second.
Taking a second.
Thank
Good, bye.
I made you pass on that one.
No, I don't care.
Y'all been so smart
Make a
about it.
motion to adjourn.
No,
We got a vote first.
we got a motion and a second to appoint the notaries. Any further discussion?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to-
Now, Lynn,
Second.
a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, one quick one. Tomorrow night is our Planning and Zoning Study Committee meeting at Eaton Elementary. Everybody's welcome to come, nobody's expected to come, but the doors are open for anybody that would like to be there, so y'all remember, come on in.
Okay,
If any of y'all are working on getting meetings in your district, be sure and let us know, and be sure and let Anita know so she can get public notice in the
So
paper.
we'll be having one in District 3. I'll get the date and time to you. But like Adam said, try not to stack them too close to one another, kind
Yeah.
of spread them out a little.
And we'll have one of the six.
Just know that you're going into Thanksgiving,
I know.
Christmas now,
I'm
so,
gonna try to get it in before Black Friday.
oh yeah.
Do it on Black Friday, so all the guys can go on the women's shop.
Yeah.
okay.
All
Thank
in
you.
favor?
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're closed.